Hi, it's Justine, and I wanted to share with you a little story about what happened on my way to dropping off my kids this morning at school. So we were on our way to school, and I'm not even sure how it came up, but we got into a conversation about failure. And it was, I said, failure can be a good thing. We can learn lessons from our failures and do better the next time, make better choices. And so I asked my daughter, who's 11 years old, what are some things you failed at? And she said, well, I failed a spelling test. And I said, yeah, what else? And she said, well, I failed a Japanese test, and I failed a strings test. And I said, what else? And so she named a few more things, and I said, okay, great. So what lessons did you learn from these failures? And she thought about it, and she said, God, I learned a lot of different things. And I said, well, just pick one. What's one thing you learned? And she said, well, I learned that even if you're naturally good at something, that you still have to put in effort and you still have to study. And I said, wow, that's a great lesson. Yeah. And so then I asked my son, who's 7, and I said, so Destin, what have you failed at? And he said, and it took him a while because my son does not like to fail. And so finally he said, well, I failed at riding my bike, and I struck out at baseball. And I said, okay, good. And then he thought of a few more things too. And so I said, well, what lessons did you learn from your failures? And he said, well, I learned not to turn the bike too soon. And I guess he crashed into the bushes and fell over. So I said, great, that's a good lesson, don't you think? And he said, yeah. And so anyways, I said, how many times do you think Mama has failed in her lifetime? And they said, oh, probably like 300. And I said, I laughed, and they're so cute. And I said, oh, way more than that. And I said, but I've also had a lot of successes in my life too, that I probably wouldn't have had if I hadn't failed so many times. And I also shared with them that, I know some multimillionaires who have failed multiple times and even declared bankruptcy on more than one occasion before they finally became millionaires and succeeded in their life in that way. And my daughter remembered seeing a TV show where there was 2 brothers and a mom, I think, and a parent, and the parent said to the one brother, don't be like your brother Jake, who always gives up. And then Jake said, I don't always give up. Sometimes I don't even try. And so she shared that story, and I said, yeah, that's such a great lesson, because if we don't ever try, we won't ever succeed. And if we're so scared of failure that we don't try, I said, what kind of life, how successful in life do you think he'll be? And my kids both said, not very. So anyways, I just shared this story with you. Oh, and then we celebrated our successes. I said, let's celebrate our successes. And so we did a little dance in the car, and we celebrated, and my son even went so far as to say, you know what, I'm going to fail all day today. And I said, failure, we still have to try our best and do our best and not try to fail. But if we fail, it's okay. So I'm just sharing this with you today because I think it's a really powerful and empowering message. That it was for me and the kids, and I'm sure it can be for you too. So I want you to think about in your life, your failures and the lessons you've learned from them, and how they may have helped you have successes, and how maybe not trying has held you back from even knowing that you can succeed. So that's it. Just wanted to share that. I hope you have a great day today, and if you fail, celebrate.